All right. Okay, second speaker. This will be interesting because there's a little bit of correlation to what we're going to see as it relates to Barb's talk. And by the way, thank you again, Barb. Barb did get a card. A card of saying thank you, and there is we have given ability for our speakers to give contributions to their favorite charitable organization. So thanks again for that. Tim is a gal that's been in the a guy that's been in the insurance business for a very long time, but more in property casual. So that's been more of his profession in the past, but still nonetheless insurance, and he understands the model that we have and the dangers that we have. So with that, he's actually taken the time to use his brain power and create a technology, a piece of technology that rolls into our benefit world, because him having the experience in the insurance side saw this as an opportunity, and truly it's becoming that nowadays. And it's part to health spending accounts, and many of you are very familiar with that concept, cost plus spending accounts and that type of stuff. So what he did do is he sold the company, he went all in on the technology, so he'll speak to that a bit today. myHSA, it's the spending account tool or piece of technology. And he works with many, many advisors. So I'm one of 1,000 or so, and across Canada. So very knowledgeable, and we're looking forward to hearing what he's got to offer. Thanks, Tim.
Deb, I would love to hear what's on that tape, by the way. So my name's Tim Kane. I'm the co-founder and the inventor of the myHSA platform. My presentation today is how can technology help you control benefit costs when the cost of benefits is out of control. So I almost found this counterproductive or counterintuitive to what Barbara is talking about, but we'll see if we can get there and mesh the two together. So the agenda, I'm going to get a little background on myHSA. I think it's important to understand where I came from and the aspects that I brought into the benefits world with technology. What we do, the technology through advisors, I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I will talk about the Canadian model of benefits and why it is different and why it's potentially being disrupted. And then the advisor's role. And just so you know, I'm a big advocate of advisors. You know, people say that they're going away and there's going to be these direct models, and what I like to do is try to convince, which is quite easy to convince people in the room, that advisors are worth it, you're in the right home, and you're going to be taken care of. So my background, I owned a property and casualty insurance brokerage. It did about $30 million in premium, so we were quite substantial in the Calgary market. Did primarily oil and gas companies, and then decided, literally, because my benefits broker used to drop me off a bottle of scotch every year, and that was his presentation, I said, this benefits thing's easy, I'm going to get into this. All I have to do is drop off scotch. So I went out and bought a benefits company, and I'm a little bit of an ADD personality, didn't know what I was buying, so here's a benefits company, it's for sale, no problem. There was a reason it was for sale. The guy had about $40,000 of revenue from these internally administered HSAs, health spending accounts, on a Microsoft Access database. And true story, we actually put a Kijiji ad out saying, who can manage this database because it's always broken? Somebody said for $500 an hour, I can do that. That wasn't going to work, so we decided, we looked out in the industry and said, you know, this innovative tool, this health spending account is very cool for a benefits practice, but why isn't it sold typically through insurance advisors? So we decided to keep the benefits of the health spending account practice that we had and build our own technology. Not knowing much about technology, that was a nightmare that I could go into beyond epic proportions. But it seemed to get itself together. In 2012, we had a fully managed HSA platform within my brokerage. And then in 2013, I was approached by a company out east that said, you know what, where's your focus? Is it insurance or property casualty benefits, or is it software? And I said, you know what, it's software. So I ended up selling my brokerage and going forward with a software company. So what we do, and this is one slide, it's not a myHSA presentation, I promise you that. But I'll tell you a little bit about what we do. Has anybody seen the myHSA platform in the room? Does anybody know who we are at all? Except Matt? Okay, great. So we take a little bit of a new spin on benefits. We do self-insured employee benefits programs through the form of spending accounts. This is all facilitated through myHSA's digital platform, so it is completely paperless. and which is a very new innovation within this industry. These things used to be, there's a lot of innovation with respect to insurance. Spending accounts, there were none. So we've taken the entire process, put it online. We offer both taxable, so HSA solutions, as well as wellness solutions, so wellness spending accounts. It's turnkey and white labeled, sold through advisors. We do not sell direct to client, we only sell through advisors, and as Deb had told, we have 1,000 advisors across Canada since 2013 using the myHSA platform. The concept of it is pretty simple. Employee goes out, pay for their health, medical, dental, wellness type expenses. They're out of pocket and then they're reimbursed by the employer, and that's all done through a digital process which pays claims faster than anything in this industry. So enough about myHSA. I want to talk to you a little bit about disruption and why it's here, and I'll get into what disruption is. Canadian benefits is an interesting model. A couple years ago, I talked to an advisor who said, you know what, your wellness spending accounts, it's innovative, but it's not going to work here. And I said, well, why? And he said, because the Canadian market is not intuitive to what wellness is. We're not really compensated. The wellness and proactive benefits, as they're called, are almost forgotten in the benefits area. And the rationale behind that is because if you give somebody a proactive benefit, your benefit costs aren't going to change. Most of the Canadian healthcare is going to take care of employees that go to the doctor, you know, pharmacare, things of the government steps in and pays for those services, not out of pocket by the employer, and therefore proactive benefits like such as wellness don't make sense here. They don't directly control your benefit costs. The push in Canada for private health care, and it's interesting, the push in private health care in Canada has nothing to do with the environment. It has to do with rich people who made a lot of money off of businesses that don't want to wait in a lineup. And so actually the push for private health care is not due to anything else than that push on the people that don't want to wait up the lineup. They want a better solution. There's been an 80% drug cost for the employers out of pockets, as we've just seen. The costs of drug are skyrocketing. I actually didn't really understand the costs until I just saw it in the presentation before, so that was amazing. The millennials are wanting more out of their plan. So not only are the owners of the business saying, I don't want to wait in the lineup, the millennials are reading the gospel down the south in wellness spending accounts and digital platforms and saying, I want more out of my benefits plan. The high cost of drugs and the flexibility in the benefits plan is starting to creep into Canada as a result. And insurance premiums, again, have skyrocketed, and that's where a lot of things like spending accounts do make sense to mitigate those costs. So the environment for disruptors. Canada benefits costs have skyrocketed, absolutely. The economy has slowed down, so what's happening is employers are saying, I still want these employees, I still want the benefits, but I do want to offer something different. I don't want my costs to increase, so I'm looking for ways to be innovative in the benefits plan to still attract the employees, still keep the employees, but not have the cost skyrocket. And that's what's really driving the disruption within the industry. The millennials are not what they seem. This is really interesting. I didn't know this until 2 weeks ago. We were at a business career college presentation, and there was an advisor up that said, you know who's the hardest on benefits? And I'm thinking old people, prescriptions. No, it's the millennials. The millennials are actually interesting because they are pushing for these proactive benefits. They're pushing for these cool costs, and I want to do yoga. On the other side of the spectrum, they're in their bikes, got their yoga mats, and they're on their way to the psychologist. They're the hardest on a benefits plan, believe it or not. So they want the best of both worlds. They want the proactive benefits, but they also want to absolutely abuse everything they can. And there's a millennial that works for us. She's a typical millennial, and I said, are you going to go for generic drugs, or are you going to go with brand name? She said, brand name. I'm going to spend this thing like you wouldn't believe it. I'm going to do it. And she's open and honest about it. She says, I like yoga, but I also like drugs. And I also like to go to psychologists. So don't kid yourself. The millennials are not driving the benefits down by any stretch of the imagination. So what is disruption? It's an innovation that creeps into a new market or value network and eventually disrupts an existing market and value network. So there's nothing wrong with the value network or the distribution that's happening. It's just the disruptors will come in and put it on a digital platform and make it look easier. So advisors are not going away. They're just being tested by these digital platforms. The new benefits. Benefits are more than insurance, and this is not being from the benefits industry. I'm always baffled when a benefits person comes to me and talks to me about myHSA and says, hey guys, I only sell insurance. I'm an insurance advisor, so why on earth would I think outside the box? And if things like this, where Uyghurs is actually going to the client saying this is out there and this is what the innovation that you should be looking for, that's a big thing in this industry, because I can tell you it's a very archaic industry. It's push an insurance policy to an employer and get paid commission. And that's where it's starting to change. So the out of the box benefits like wellness, like anything that's out there are being offered through the advisor, which is innovative. Many of the complementary services and plans are run through an insured or spending account. So I brought up medical marijuana. If you don't like it and you think it's not going to be there, you're wrong. It's one of the largest benefits costs that are coming forward, and also one of the coolest benefits that employers are offering. But it's actually interesting because some insurers will offer it, some of the spending accounts will offer it. It's approved by Canada Revenue Agency, but the employers on the other side are going, I don't want this medical marijuana. You're going to have to get used to it. It's not going to go away, and I think we just realized it's going to be included on a lot of benefit plans. So make medical marijuana in the form of spending accounts. There's actually people that keep insured plans and just have medical marijuana. That's their sole spending account purposes. And I think it's new. It's definitely just a general cure-all. It's not that, and they're going to have to drill down exactly what it's good for. But until that, the employers are going to have to be accepting that it's going to be a very cool way for you to increase your benefit plan. I never thought I'm actually on CBD, the medical marijuana. I don't smoke drugs at all, but the doctor told me to try it for sleep, and it works like a charm. So I'm a proponent, and I get it actually from Canamed, one of the suppliers here. So, and I put it through my health spending account. So disruptions in the benefits markets, how is it happening? It's happening through digital platforms, believe it or not, that don't focus on benefits. So they're actually saying, payroll, time off trackers, all those cool things. We're just going to give you those. And those benefits that are just a commodity, you can give us those and just pay us on the benefits. So they're actually giving tools to the clients they're attacking, but it's actually not focused on the benefits offering. The employers are being pushed on value propositions, and I'll talk about a company. Has anybody heard of Zenefits at all? The US market. I'll talk a little bit about what they've done and how they've shifted the model. But they're offering more and kind of discrediting what the advisor does for a client. They're wanting more out of the benefits planners outside of the scope insurance. Remember when you used to buy insurance from an insurance broker? Now you're trying to buy payroll through your insurance broker. You're trying to buy time off trackers. Like, are you kidding me? What happened to the insurance advisor? But on the other side of it, the value of the benefits advisor is being tested by these other processes. If you're not offering more, your client's going to be looking at these digital disruptors. The technology is absolutely the fuel, because I can tell you, I used to sell insurance. I had the largest book within my business, and offering insurance and selling insurance, if you ever did, for a fee for service rather than a flat commission, and they were charging from the times they touch your file, I can tell you there's a lot of work involved with insurance. It's not just dropping off a bottle of scotch every year. So I'll talk a little bit about the disruption that is affecting benefits. And I shouldn't just say benefits, I'll say insurance as well. The disruption, the insurance industry is prime for disruption, just because of the processes and that have been erupting and have been building throughout the time that the disruptions come. It's clients, it's service, it's a lot of things that can be disrupted. So first one is chatbots, AI, machine learning. Yesterday somebody was talking about headphones that didn't have a wire on it, so wireless headphones. And I decided, they said, you know what, I got this new iPhone 7 and it's got this really cool plug-in, but I still need the other one on the airplane. I decided that hardware technology is a bunch of shit that they try to sell you that does exactly the same thing as everything else you have. It's all a matter of drawing you to that technology. And AI, chatbots, machine learning is the same thing. It's the Siri of benefits. What's the difference? We just bought an Alexa. Have you seen the Amazon Alexa? It answers questions. It's really cool. You don't have to talk into your phone to do it. Now you can just scream across the room to Alexa. But essentially what you're doing, you're Googling it. You're asking Siri, you're asking Alexa, and they're starting to learn information that people are looking for. But on the aspect of it, it does nothing different than anybody's done in the past. It's the same as questions. But chatbots, AI, and machine learning, from an advisor's perspective, the only way to service you better is not to hire more people. You're going to have 24/7 and chatbots and AIs. You'll start to see them. Sun Life just brought out a chatbot. There's a lot of chatbots that are out there, and people say, what's a chatbot? A chatbot is asking your questions based on what other users have defined within what they're asking. So chatbot, it's smart learning. I don't believe it's true artificial intelligence. It's not learning. It's creating a database of questions that have already been asked. Do you have a question? Oh. So I think that chatbots in the insurance industry are going to be huge. They're not going to replace the advisor. They're going to allow the advisor to be one of the tech companies that just been founded called Fineo. They call it the bionic advisor. Chatbots allow you to create the bionic advisor because there's no 9 to 5, there's no 8 to 4, there's no hours out there. It's 24/7, which the world needs to be if you're going to participate and work with these disruptors. Policy interpretations, insurance is all about policy interpretations. Imagine if you could grow a database based on the information that you've already got and the interpretation and things like that. If you're implementing these ideas in there, you're going to be just better off at servicing your clients without just hiring more people. Online medical service. This one baffles me, to be honest with you. So I was talking to my partner, Steve, who's a younger guy, and he said he was sick. And he said, I'm so tired of being sick. And I said, why don't you go get a prescription? Because when I get a prescription, I just text my doctor at my private healthcare clinic, and he gives it me, and he says, you know what? I would, but I got to take my son down to the hospital, and I got to sit in emergency, or I got to sit in a walk-in center, and I sit there for 5 hours. And most of that, the time that it takes me to do that, draws me away from getting the prescription. If you're thinking about it, like with the online medical doctors, you can chat on your phone, you can text them, you can ask them for those prescriptions. And so from a cost of benefits performance, you think about it, Steve was drawn away from getting prescriptions for his kids. Now that he could potentially have it online, he's ordering like crazy. He doesn't care anymore. And that is definitely going to affect the costs and benefits going forward, as you're not going to be able to deal with that thing. Technology is a great thing, but it's also the worst thing for an insurance plan or for a benefits plan because it allows that ease. What's even better? Steve's not the most motivated guy in the world. He doesn't have to get off the couch. He has these subscription services. You can actually get drugs like the Amazon drugs. They will auto-renew your subscription. So if you're taking acid reducers for 15 days out of your 30-day, 1 per day prescription, and it's on an automated subscription basis, they're just going to bring it to your door every 30 days, whether you use it or not. And you don't have to get off your couch. You don't generally care about the benefit costs of your employer, so what do you care? Everybody has those prescriptions that sit in their cupboards and nobody's used. That's going to happen more and more with respect to these online medical costs. Or medical doctors, but they are awesome. I will tell you that. They're a good, innovative way, and we're actually working for something that's built directly into our app. But it does solve the problem. You have to educate the employees on what's happening with the benefits costs and what this technology is doing to hurt it. So we call it the Amazon of prescription drugs. Robo advisors. Robo-advisors, so there's Wealthsimple, you've seen them at the Super Bowl, Wealth Plan, these highly funded companies that are actually taking investment to a new level. They're doing it through robots. So no longer do you find your investment advisor at RBC Dominion Securities, you don't go look for them anymore. And you don't have to have a big pot to be able to deal with these people anymore. You can have $1,000 or $5,000, go to one of these robo-advisors, put it in and start investing. So you actually they get rid of the relationship between anybody else. And it's actually interesting, I was listening to a podcast on Wealthsimple. So Wealthsimple was started by the guy by the name of Michael Katchen. I think they're $100 million in funding right now, and they've got $1 billion assets under management. Do you know why they picked Canada? It wasn't because he was from Canada and you think he's a local boy, and that's actually why they say, oh, well, Michael's a local guy, he's from Toronto. He lived down in Silicon Valley, worked at some other companies. He came back to Canada with the Robo advisor to disrupt the current market because of the fees in Canada were the highest of anywhere. So it's a perfect area because of fees to be able to disrupt, and that's why they chose it. There's no minimum dollars for investing, and some millennials can take their paycheck and start investing, and they think it's really cool. It's ETF models with minimal change, and again, they chose Canada because it is ripe for disruption. Blockchain. Blockchain is my new fascination, not a new fascination. I've been following it since it started. Does anybody know what blockchain is? You ever heard the terminology? You ever heard of Bitcoin? Okay, so you heard of Bitcoin. What blockchain is the backbones to Bitcoin. Nobody knows how blockchain was invented, but it's essentially the backbone behind what Bitcoin operates on. And I hate to do presentations where I add a video in there, but I'm gonna add a video just because I think this is a 2-minute video that quite simply will tell you what blockchain is. And then I'll talk about the applications.
Blockchain is peer-to-peer software technology that protects the integrity of a digital piece of information. It was invented to create the alternative currency Bitcoin, but may be used for other cryptocurrencies, online signature services, voting systems, and many other applications. In this video, we explain how it works and what makes it special. Everyone uses paper money. When you get a $10 bill, you trust that it's not fake. If instead someone sent you an email saying, "Here's $10, you probably wouldn't trust it. But when we transfer money, use an ATM, or pay with a deposit card, that's pretty much exactly what we do. We're sending money and a digital message. To make sure no one's cheating or sending money they don't have, these messages go through a few trusted banks that keep a record of everything. They know how much money everyone has and deduct it properly for every transaction. But this becomes expensive when there's a million transactions around the world every minute. The Economist estimates that banks charged us more than $1.7 trillion to process these payments in 2014. That's about 2% of the entire world economy. With blockchain, we can save a lot of this cost because it lets us send money just like sending an email. Instead of sending a lot of payment information through a few servers, blockchain uses thousands of personal computers on the internet. All transactions are copied and cross-checked between every computer in a system-wide accounting book called the ledger, which becomes very safe at scale. Blockchain doesn't just allow us to create safe money online, it lets us protect any piece of digital information. This could be online identity cards, voter ballots, contracts, and many other legal instruments, bringing bureaucracy into the 21st century.
So that probably didn't make sense, and it's like the internet. I can't explain what the internet is and what the internet does, but all you need to know about blockchain is that it works and it's coming. It essentially it's like a giant Excel spreadsheet that's public and available to everyone. Everybody reconciles on that spreadsheet, whether it's currency, whether it's documents, whether it's your ID, whether proving that you're 21 and you can go in and buy booze, any of that thing you can prove by this cryptological key that is allowed through the blockchain technology. So it essentially takes away paper, documents, insurance policies, anything that in the past had to be given to somebody to prove that you have them, and it allows it on a technology to be able to facilitate that. So I know that RBC, for example, is one of the largest investors in this blockchain technology. And don't get fixated on Bitcoin, only get fixated on Bitcoin because it works on the blockchain. But the bigger idea is the ledger behind it and being able to control it. So again, don't be concerned with how it works. Just be concerned that it does work and it will be coming. It's not going away. It tracks and records records and contractual obligations. I'm not fixated on the monetary part of blockchain. I think that the countries are going to overrun it. They're going to build their own blockchain technology. They're going to have their own currency. But the information gathering and what insurance does or benefits does, it's specific information that you're giving to somebody to be able to spend allowances, interpret contracts, any of that. And if that can be taken off paper, the transactions that happen in paper, and put it onto an online platform where it's available to everybody, it cannot be altered, and it's just going to be revolutionary within the insurance industry. So if you don't have to fixate on blockchain, it's a long way away, but definitely be aware of it. And I love to talk about it, and I think I talk about it like a stupid person was, because I'm not a tech person at all. So if you ever want to have a discussion on what it is and how it operates, please get my information from Uyghur. I love to talk about it. So how does the disruption affect you? And back to Zenefits and ADP. ADP was a payroll company. Zenefits was actually, in 2013, TechCrunch Disruptors, which is a presentation of all the new technologies that come in. The CEO of Parker Conrad of Zenefits just started this Zenefits model, and he essentially said, we've identified this benefits industry as a bloated industry. The insurance advisors get paid way too much. We're going to give you all these online technologies, time trackers, everything like that. We're going to take your benefits, only get paid on the benefits, and we're going to literally drink the insurance advisor's milkshake. That's what he warned. So Zenefits was one of the fastest growing models in Silicon Valley. It was actually valued at $5.5 billion from 2013 until the crash of what happened. It sparked a new relationship to disassociate the advisor with a client. And so they were trying to say, what they do is easy, just let us put it on the tech platform and we can take care of it and you can still pay us what you pay them. It was a successful attempt at commoditizing employee benefits. So it successfully said, you don't need an advisor, this is easy, we can do it from an online platform. It made it look easy, and the values were determined by the service provider. So as Zenefits started to add more products onto the platform, the benefits still stayed the same and the employer got more products from it. So in reality, I'll talk a little bit of what happened with Zenefits. Zenefits now, actually, I think it was 3 weeks ago, they ran into some trouble with compliance. They ran into trouble with advisors. They ran into trouble with this insurance thing that they had all these people selling, but nobody on earth had any idea what they were doing. And therefore, Zenefits, the $5.4 billion with 1,500 staff, has now chosen, they've actually hired 2 new CEOs, and the new CEO came in and said, you know what, guys, this model was great, and we still think it's effective, but we've forgotten about the most important aspect of what this is that you need an advisor. So 3 weeks ago, Zenefits came out in public and said, we are no longer going to sell direct to clients. Clients, especially over 10, we can't handle, and we're now going to be selling our product through advisors. So they've taken this model that's tried to disrupt the advisor, and I'm a big believer that they'll always be around. It doesn't matter what fashion, they're always going to be around, and they're always going to be creating some innovation that a computer can't do. And that's exactly what Zenefits going back on what their business model was, pivoted as they call it, exactly proved, is that you need an advisor for employee benefits. Another thing is Robo advisors are just advisors. I don't believe there's such thing as a Robo advisor. And you know why? Is because the industry has built so much what we call insurtech, that we've allowed things like the myHSA platform, where we're giving it to the insurance broker and saying you can facilitate your client better with these digital tools. And therefore, a digital tool or a digital advisor, if the advisors have the tool, there's no such thing as a robo advisor anymore. It's just another form of advising. And so all these tools that you think are out there and the insurance advisors don't have, they absolutely do in implementing within the practice. So I think it's easier to make sure that your benefits advisor is happy with your product and you're happy with them, but they're always looking for new innovations. So if you see something shiny out there, talk to your advisor about it, because I can guarantee you of the one company that's offering the shiny product, there's 10 other companies that are offering it through your advisor. The advisors have stood the test of time. I'm from the P&C industry when the banks came in, when they were trying to disrupt the P&C industry. We all ran in fear from this happening, that we were going to be gone and everything was going to be done by this direct model or robots. Advisors is still around. My brokerage is still around. It doesn't matter what you do. Advisors have stood the test of time and they will be around. Employee benefits are sold, not bought. And this is actually an important statement if you think about it. If you're going out looking for a toy, or if you're going out looking at any kind of product, a pair of shoes, you can go on Amazon, you can buy it. I have not spent one moment of my entire life looking for employee benefits on the internet and where I could shop them. It just doesn't happen like that. So they're not bought. Somebody comes to you and they tell you, they advise you that this is the benefits plan that you should have. You're not sitting there looking for it. And I think that's one of the reasons why this industry, regardless of how many disruptors out there, will not be disrupted from its original purpose. And the insurtech is slowly beating the disruptors. The insurtech is a new terminology because we didn't want to be classed in the same as the disruptors out there. But essentially what insurtech does is provide tools for the advisor to help the client. So using technology to control costs, it's awesome because there is seamless technologies that make the benefits process, buying, facilitating, and user information very simple. It's completely paperless. Think all the paper you have with insurance, even from investment advisors. They say information, it's always coming in the mail. If we can have a paperless process, that's going to bring down your benefit costs as a whole. The information is tracked in real time. We don't like queries on our benefits plan. If somebody has a question on their benefits, you want to be able to answer them 24/7 or when they want. They don't want to go back and send emails and send letters back and forth to the insurer. And information should be able to be relayed in real time. Plan administrators are able to control costs. You could see the analytics of your plans and see exactly what's working, what's not, where you got to implement a spending account, where you got to keep it insured. So you should have information to all that information, or access to all that information. The problem with it is a lot of the insurance companies with analytics and how analytics works is you can never go back and look at analytics. You can only go forward and look at analytics. And so you got to take what the analytics were as of right now and start building systems to be able to track it to effectively manage your benefit costs long term. Employees can help the process if they understand knowledge is power. If they just think there's something in the background and insurance companies make too much money, which they do. Insurance companies make a lot of money, but there's a lot that goes into that, and employees have to know what's going to drive up their benefit costs, because I guarantee even if they don't care, they care about you as the employer. Utilization can be ran now rather than a renewal. Why would you look at things in a renewal? I know WeYours is quite proactive with respect to plans and analytics. How's the plan being utilized throughout the year? Don't just look at the renewal, because of the renewal, it's not seeing the real-time information and it's more reactive processes. Cloud-based, everything should be cloud-based. I mean, that was a scary terminology when we first started going, but cloud means that it's accessed from anywhere. That's essentially what cloud means. And people say, oh, it's not secure and I'm scared of it. Would you rather the computer sitting under Joe's desk at the office? Is that where your information's stored? These people like AWS and the cloud providers out there, they do this for a living, and it's awesome. And so anything that you have should be moving towards cloud-based, or at least look at it, because it can be accessed from anywhere, and that's exactly the process. That's what's good about cloud. So the role of the advisor, it's to reinforce value to your client. And I assume by being here, having this presentation and seminar, that's exactly what they're doing, is reinforcing because I can tell you from the benefits industry, nobody does this. You know, nobody does relevant information of advising people in to talk about things that could disrupt them. I think it's a very cool strategy for an advisor to do. The advisors have to embrace the technology, which they do. Our relationship with WeYours is new, but it's going to be a growing concern, and I know that they're implementing a lot of technologies to help their clients. And insurtech is becoming the new norm, and so you don't have to worry about just the disruptors. Look at what your advisors are doing. So is there any questions?
There's questions. You know, I'll ask one. Okay, I have a question. Leave it to Debbie. Okay, so first, thank you very much, because you know what? It's like technology is a love-hate relationship, don't you agree? I mean, we hate it because we have to learn it. It's changing. It's maybe creating a little abuse if we don't manage it properly, like Barb says. So we got to be thinking how we balance this. And there's a whole lot of education that's going on. So, I mean, thank you for that, Tim. My question to you is, where do you see the technology going as an advisor? And we do this. Like, I mean, is there a point where we're going to have so much information we're going to overwhelm the client?
100%. And you have to pick the services and battles that your clients are seeing, and only you can do that. But there's so many technologies, and also too, you have to pick the right road. Because if a client was to pick Zenefits, for example, or pick some other provider out there, and then things shift and change, a lot of these tech companies are funded and they go in all different directions. So you really have to stood the test of time and make sure that what you're buying into to implement your benefits practices and platform is not just something that's going to go away next year, because that doesn't help anybody.
And maybe part of our concern, which is really tough because we're just trying to do things and we're moving forward and we're implementing change, but not to make it too quickly. Because sometimes we have to, like you say, is it tried and true?
Totally, 100%. It's benefits it's a get rich slow model, as anybody that's in the industry knows.
By the way, I didn't pay him for this plug. I didn't really. I didn't.
I had to learn it by myself.
Although I
thought
did
I'd
learn
double check.
something really new about you today. So like, woo!
Yeah, awesome.
Woo, okay, that works right with you. That's awesome, though. Is there any other questions from the audience?
In the U.S., you're seeing that?
Repeat the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the question is, if you have a health spending account and it's an unused balance, that you can roll it into an RSP at the end. 401k. Yeah, 401k. So health spending accounts in the U.S. are quite different than they are up here. It's a true employer-funded reimbursement arrangement. It's called a health reimbursement arrangement. And so it is different. From a health spending account, there has to be an element of risk in Canada. And therefore, if you allocate money towards an HSA, you can't roll it into something that works better for you because it gets rid of that element of risk. You can pre-allocate, and we have a product called My Flex Plan that you can do that, but it has to happen at the beginning of the year, not when it's most effective for you. Yes? For sure. So the question is the simplicity of the myHSA platform with respect to facilitating HSA and wellness claims and plans for your employer. We're a paperless company. The employer can decide what they want to provide their employees as far as a benefit, whether that's a health spending account or just medicinal marijuana or different co-insurance. You can basically build the entire process to how the employer wants from both an HSA and a wellness spending account. It's all then populated online for the employee. Employee can download their apps. We all work on apps, and we also have a web interface as well. Simple as taking a picture of your receipt, submitting into the system, you'll be reimbursed. We reimburse every Wednesday and Friday. So if you made a claim today, you would be reimbursed on Friday. EFT, yeah, all EFT. For now, blockchain's definitely on our radar, but it's... Hey, Matt. Privacy is not as big of a concern as you think it is, and scary enough as it is. It's scary from a disruptor, the tech function of private information, because I can tell you information leaks happen all the time. That's part of tech. That's one of the reasons why it has to be solid in the foundation of the benefits plan or the disruption that you're embracing. You got to make sure that they've gone through the bumps, because they will go through the bumps. I didn't repeat the question, Matt. I'm sorry. Repeat the question one more time. Privacy with respect to the plans and the disruptors. We've actually talked to a privacy officer. If you're giving an employee a benefits plan in Canada, you have 100% allowance under the Privacy Act to see what that employee's claiming, to see the costs that they're claiming, all of that. Which is baffling to me because the industry's always been told differently than that, but that is from the horse's mouth. And so you got to be, but having said that, there could be a lot of leaks with respect to privacy, and as an employer, I don't think you should have that information.
I don't know. That one surprises me. Mike, any comments on that?
You know what, Deb, I was thinking of a question for Tim, so
You're in timeout.
Deb, if you want to have that three-way call, and I'd love to have that with the privacy commissioner because we were absolutely baffled by it.
Yeah, that's actually scares me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But as Mike's now probably thinking about his question, do you know your question now? Sorry.
sorry. Out of the allocation for employees at plan sponsors or towards health spending, what percentage are you seeing being used?
What percentage are being used of the HSA? So the question was, if you allocate $1,000 towards your employee's health spending account, and I'll just talk about health spending accounts and then touch on wellness, how much of that's being utilized. The industry statistics and the myHSA statistic is between 30 and 60%, which is the great part of a spending account because it gives a $1,000 benefit, but in reality, the employee can only spend 60% of it. With wellness implemented in there, gym memberships, yoga, whatever they want, taxable benefits, it's a lot easier for an employee to spend the allowance, and they do.
Sorry. Okay, because I was now concentrating on what I had in my time capsule. Okay, so you're saying on the spending account, 30% of employers are implementing spending accounts?
No, it's actually
okay.
70% of employers have some sort of spending account arrangement.
70%.
Cost plus. Yeah, that was actually just released.
Well, that's not
by-
our stat in Saskatchewan. That's very high.
Yeah,
but
it's
to your
baffling.
point, that's where it's going.
That's where it's going. Absolutely. It's controlling costs.
Because we're small town farmer mentality, and we just take a long time to move on things, Jeff.
But that's...
Well, you know what? We were looking at it, and it's part of the question going forward. But we're saying, Brent Barker, where's Brenda? Correct me. Is it about 20%? About 20% of our clients do a spending account. Very few do a wellness account or a combination of. That's not to say, and to Tim's point, trust me, we didn't bring you out here just so you can be the lone man and go back home and they'll go, who the heck was Tim again? We are working towards implementing his product line. He's one of the areas where we're going to develop on the technology side as it relates to spending accounts, because we do offer spending accounts just with a little more simplistic approach. So this is going to be exciting for us. But what we are seeing is a lot more conversation, and a lot more conversation because it's driving to what Barb's saying on escalating costs and how we're going to manage that, and the education of the employment and the plan design is going to be important. So the technology is going to be important to implement that type of movement. But I believe, and that's a question going forward, where do you see it going in the next few years? What percentage in 2025, if we're here as a group, are doing spending accounts or wellness accounts or a combination? So that's the question on your questionnaire. So,
Sure. How are they determining the allocation for their clients for a spending account? The beauty of it is that we do work with advisors, obviously. The question was, how do you determine the allocation, what your employees are getting from an HSA or a wellness? The good part of a spending account is it can literally be whatever you want as the employer to spend. The other good part of it is that you do have an advisor, and that advisor can carve out, maybe drugs don't make sense, so maybe you want to cap that, so you can take that right out. So there's no boilerplate answer as to how much. It's determined by the plan and where it's being affected based on the utilization. Wellness accounts, there's no difference in a wellness account than giving an employee $500 on their check. They just don't care about the $500 on their check. They like $500 to spend on gym memberships. It turns it into a benefit. And a lot of employers will have those type of spending accounts. They're just internally managed on an Excel spreadsheet, which is what we do. We take that away.
and maybe to answer to your question, Jeff, because I'm thinking more, is we're going to see the movement towards spending accounts. But you need to remember, this is a big shift in mindset because it's taking it from a defined benefit to a defined contribution. So you're moving money from pile A to pile B. But the question is, can you move that same amount of money to pile B and still get the same outcome? For example, if someone is a high drug user and you take the drug plan down to 70%, well, that 20,000 drug, or 10,000 because it got stopped, that just turned into a few extra bucks for the employee. Can you move that same amount of money into a spending account? Probably not, because we're not in the world right now where we're putting $2,000 spending accounts in place. But you are seeing it out east and west. They're stripping plans down to bare bones drugs, to bare bones paramedical, maybe none at all, removing vision. There's all sorts of things you can do to a benefit plan. But it's going to be kind of that question of who's going to be first out the door. And where we probably see that transition being very slow is all our clients are private sector. So you're dealing with mid to small companies, and there's just not that movement as you would see maybe in the large companies. Big companies do it. They've got more capability to do it. So maybe that's where it skews the data a bit. I don't know, Tim.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a spending account, the problem with a spending account is that it's too flexible. Under the myHSA program, we can completely define it. So you can take out drugs, you can put co-insurance on drugs, you can make a spending account just for medicinal marijuana, so you can carve out where it's cool and also what makes sense. It doesn't say get rid of your insurance plan. And that's traditionally been the model of a spending account, is get rid of your insurance plan, we can handle it. That's just bad advice.
Because you can't replace it. It goes to that point. So thank you. We got to wrap up because I'm going to bring Cliff on. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And look forward to future conversations.